Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everybody. I love the fact that she does so many different modalities to help us heal. And yes, I'm going to say it now. I've said it before. We all have things to heal from. If you say, no, I don't, I got nothing. There's no traumas in my life. Never, you don't really know, or you're not being honest with yourself. We all got stuff that is holding us back, maybe preventing us from moving forward and realizing our hopes and dreams in a brand new year. We're going to talk about what she does in terms of holistic healing and some of those modalities. And it's great to have her with us. Jamie Serrato joins us here on the program. How you doing?
I'm great, Steve. Thank you so much for having me. I am the owner of Calmer Waters Coaching, and I am a little bit of a spiritual guru. I do a little bit of everything. So I know a lot about astrology. I also have experience as a psychiatric nurse, so I'm very familiar with the different mental health conditions that people may suffer from, but I look at it more from a spiritual perspective. I also do astrology, so I can look at your birth chart and we can try to discern and figure out what some of the issues or problems in your life that you are suffering from, what may be the spiritual component that is underlying that.
Hmm. When you say spiritual component, how would you define that?
Well, I believe that our soul has a blueprint. And when we come into this life, it has certain things that it wants us to work on or accomplish. These can be things from past generations that you carry, generational trauma, or it can also be things that you've even brought in from past lives or parallel incarnations. So the problems that we have are like symptoms that are showing us something that our soul wants to learn more about. So if you're having, let's say, a physical ailment that makes it difficult for you to enjoy your life, what is it that your soul or your spirit is wanting you to see about this condition, and how are your beliefs also contributing to that ailment and what seems to be holding you back?
Now, you said there was something that sort of predetermines our destiny in a way. Is that known as the soul contract?
Yes, sir. I believe very strongly in the soul contract. And I work closely with one particular spirit guide who has taught me a lot about soul contracts and how we sign up for particular lessons and things before we come into this physical reality. And we make agreements to take on particular difficulties, traumas, problems, even abuse. We agreed to this before coming into this incarnation in order for us to learn certain things.
When you say spirit guide, is that exactly what it sounds like? A spirit who is guiding you?
Yes, some people, it depends on your belief system, which will be decided by your soul blueprint. Some people may call that a guardian angel, or some
Hmm.
people may have archangels that look over them. But from my perspective, and I know we are all unique, we are all individuals, we have spirit guides that are assigned to us for our incarnation to assist us and to help us and to make life easier for us so we're not having to work so hard all of the time.
So in the last month or so, I've attempted to get in touch with my spirit guides. They say one of them is, Archangel Michael,
Yeah.
and others have told me that they just ask for them to present themselves, and then they do. I've
Mhm.
tried it a few times, and my chill spot, my meditation spot is in bed. So it could be before I go to sleep or when I wake up. And I've actually laid in bed. I'm like, okay, and I want you to tell me if I'm doing this right, but I'm just asking, my spirit guides, you know, please reveal yourself, who you are, what your names are.
Mhm.
Haven't gotten anything yet. I will say one time I did fall asleep, so it could have been then and I missed it. Somebody even told me Michael presented himself to them, but had a different name. I'm just sharing. Uh,
Yes.
Side note: I know people you might be hearing or looking at this saying those people are crazy.
Right. It's
This
a
is
little
woo woo.
some people.
Yeah, but once you start looking at this deeper and opening yourself up to it,
Yeah.
pretty amazing. And it's all about my belief. It's energy. Energy is everything. Your energy, I'm energy. We got different energy. The chair you're sitting in on is a different energy. Your cell phone has energy. Everything is. So my belief is, for those who think this is woo woo, why can't somebody on the other side or a spirit guide? It's energy, right? Why can't that energy come your way and support you? Um,
Yes.
so me trying to connect with my spirit guides, was I doing the right thing? What should I be doing?
Yes, yes, absolutely. You have to request it. You have to verbally request it and say, I am open. I want to meet my spirit guides. I want to have a conscious relationship with my spirit guide if you perceive that I am ready, right? Because your spirit team is going to assess you and where you're at in your life and whether or not conscious communication with them, would that be a help in your life right now, or could it be a distraction or a hindrance? From what they need you to be working on? Is there something you perhaps might need to heal first before you can have that level of connection with your spirit team?
Hmm. Um, I want to go deeper now into your background. You
Yeah.
harness so many different modalities and past experience, psychiatric nurse. Did I hear that right?
Yes, and a
Wow.
special needs nurse. Yes.
Wow. Tell us your journey.
Okay. Well, this is a long story, but I will try to do my best to explain it in a way
Everybody has
that
a story.
for
Everybody has a
everyone.
story. And I feel hearing somebody's story helps us learn, helps us
Yes.
realize things. We pull
Yes.
little pieces that support us. So have
Yes,
at
and
it.
it helps us be more open to the awareness that other people have different experiences and everyone is a unique individual. When I was 18, I underwent my first spiritual awakening. I met my twin flame at that time. And I am a believer in the twin flame journey, although you have to use a lot of discernment because there are a lot of falsehoods about twin flames and things that are not true.
Before you continue, define twin flame.
Okay, so when you are born as a soul, you contain both polarities within yourself, male and female, feminine energy and masculine energy. We each have our own balance. So there is a phenomenon on a soul level where that soul can split. And it's not that you split into two half souls, you're both a whole soul. But it's very much like when a cell divides, like in mitosis and the cell divides in half and from one cell you create two cells. And twin flames are like this, where they are the more masculine aspect and the more feminine aspect, and they are at polarity with one another when they separate. And your twin can be a physical human that you meet here on the earth plane, or they can stay in spirit and assist you from the other side, or you may not be twinned at all and you may just function as one whole soul.
Wow. So the spirit flame that you encountered, was that in this realm? Was it a person?
The twin I encountered,
Yeah.
yes, he was. He has passed away. I lost my twin flame. He passed away, but his name was Ian, and he activated my spiritual awakening. I was
Mm.
completely asleep, living completely unconsciously, and I met him, and we had a very difficult relationship because the twin flame often activates your shadow, the part of you that you deny or repress. And I ended up in so much suffering over this relationship that I had a spiritual awakening due to the dark night of the soul.
Uh Lots more to hear about your journey, but
And that's just part one of my spiritual
oh, I
awakening.
gotcha. And we're gonna go through this piece by piece because
Yes.
or chapter by chapter
Yeah.
because there's things for us to take away.
Yeah.
The spiritual awakening. Now, many define that in different ways. I've talked to people that say they've experienced it and it's lasted a year or more, and it
Mhm.
was not pleasant. But
Right.
on the other side of it, it was wonderful. It just the light came out and
Yeah.
life changed. How do you define it? And can you give us more? Put the microscope on your awakening.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for me, the spiritual awakening that I experienced was the recognition that the reality, as I had been taught by my parents, by my family, by my school, by my teachers, my brother and sister, this reality was a certain paradigm that was very limited. And the real reality is much bigger. The real reality is we are here for a purpose. We incarnated to learn something or to do something, and the events that happen to us are not just by luck or by chance. It's not just, well, I had bad luck, I got in a bad romantic relationship. No, there was more to it. There was meaning behind that. That was planned in order, it was part of my soul contract in order to help me change my viewpoint and let go of old limiting beliefs about myself and about how reality worked.
Hmm. How long did it last for you?
I'm still going through it. I don't think it ever really ends. I had a 7 year cycle from the time I was 18 until I was 25, where I very much went under the very traditional spiritual path. I studied astrology, I studied tarot cards, I learned about, the tree of life and different religions and what different religions believed. And then when I turned 25, my experience accelerated even more. And I actually underwent something known as a walk in or a soul exchange. And I literally became a new person overnight.
I can see that happening. Yeah,
The
it's and
truth.
isn't it isn't it wonderful once you start realizing some of these things in terms of spiritualism? Um, you just see things in a different way. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, and I have had, difficulty relating to people, especially since that second spiritual awakening when I was 25, because my viewpoint on the world was so different, so radically different from people around me who, from their perspective, had been born on this planet, had fallen asleep, were underneath some type of veil, and my experience where everything was bright and quick and fast. And the day I had my walk in, all my spiritual abilities came online. I became clairvoyant, clairaudient. I began having this relationship with my spirit guide. And although I was not enlightened, I did not immediately have inner peace or anything like that because I had so much programming and conditioning I had to undo. I still had so much more hope, it seemed like, and so much more honor for the sanctity of life than some of the people around me who were not given the same experiences I was given.
Do you find, and I want to continue with the next chapter in your story,
Yeah.
but at this juncture, do you find it's hard to find people that get you?
Extremely, extremely hard. And it hurts me and it hurts my heart because oftentimes I want to get to know people. I want to have a social life. I want to be able to be included in things in the community and things like that. But I have found due to my energetic sensitivity, my boundaries have to be so high. And if certain people aren't able to meet me on a certain level of integrity, then I can't have them in my life. And I have chosen to be alone oftentimes over being in situations where I didn't feel safe or I didn't feel like I was being respected.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's when you find, and not that, let's say somebody has a spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean they're any better than anybody else. They just view things through a different lens. So I can totally understand, how it can be a little limiting, isolating, in some regards, when people don't get
Yeah.
it. Um, so that's the awakening. Tell us more about your journey that got you to the point where you heal holistically.
Okay. Well, I underwent very difficult karmic lessons. When someone has a walk in, they've usually taken on a great deal of karma that is too much for one person to handle.
Mm.
So when I turned 25, I got to that point where it was time to have this soul exchange. And the first soul who lived out from birth until the age of 25 actually left the body, underwent a death process, and I came into the body instead. And at that point, I had to do a lot of repair, like a very large amount of repair, which is why I was guided so heavily by my spirit guide and spirit team, because we all have conditioning, and the body I walked into had a lot of trauma. She was raised in an environment with a lot of conditioning, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, being told on some level that she wasn't good enough and things like that. And I ended up in an abusive marriage that I had to get out of, and I had to fight for custody of my daughter. I had a lot of people around me who did not want good things for me, but I did not have good discernment when I first walked in. I was very vulnerable and somewhat childlike. And so I had to go through this process of learning how to stand on my own 2 feet and to protect myself from people who did not want good things for me.
Hmm. Do you find that the universe puts you through that for a reason?
Yes, yes. I feel so empowered now compared to how I felt before. I am able to do everything everyone else can do. I think I had a chip on my shoulder for a long time. I felt like I wasn't smart enough, I wasn't good enough, but I learned that I am just as capable as everybody else. I think I had a lot of naivety because of the walk-in where I didn't understand how Earth worked at first. And I was able to prove to myself that I was capable. I became successful in my career. I became the charge nurse as a psychiatric nurse. I bought a house. I won custody of my daughter. I remarried and I have a happy marriage now. And I had to prove to myself that I was just as capable as everybody else.
And do you feel you wouldn't have been able to do that if you didn't go through that awakening?
Oh, absolutely. I honestly think if I hadn't been spiritually connected, I would 100% not be alive right now. I would probably be dead.
Wow.
Yeah.
Um, do you feel it was your purpose to help others like you have as a psychiatric nurse and for special needs children?
Mhm.
Do you think this is just the next step in your journey to help people now it's holistically?
Yes, absolutely. I feel like the nursing really helped me refine my skills working with people and knowing how to approach people, especially people who might be scared or they might be in fight or flight or going through something in their life. I've always been a caregiver. I've always wanted to care for people, but there's a limit to how much you can do and how much you can create in a normal 9 to 5 type job. So like getting on here and speaking on the podcast, I can affect millions of people compared to just being a nurse at a hospital. I might encounter 20 people in a day, but I want to be able to help people on a much grander scale.
So you meet somebody for the first time, they say, Jamie, I need some help. I'm going through some things I just don't feel aligned with life. It just feels off for me. What's the first step? Do you energetically figure out or feel who they are and then pick a modality? Like, how does it work?
Absolutely. If I were to have someone come for a coaching session, I would probably give them an evaluation and ask them, what areas of your life are you feeling satisfied in and where are you looking for improvement? And there's four main areas of life: the spiritual plane, your connection to spirit; the mental plane, which is your beliefs and what you believe about yourself and the thoughts that you're having; the emotional plane, which is how you feel about yourself, how you react to different situations; and then the physical plane, which is where everything manifests. So if you're trying to manifest a particular type of life and you're
Mhm.
struggling to, there's usually a problem in one of those areas that is underlying it. So let's say you want to become financially abundant, and maybe you have the spiritual component, you've prayed about it, or you've done a vision board or something like that. But then maybe on the mental plane, you still have some negative beliefs around money or freedom, and that could be stopping you from manifesting financial abundance.
Hmm. Sounds like there's always a reason. If it is not happening for you, there is a reason. Don't worry, we'll figure it out.
Yes. And I very much work kind of in the moment with people. So I do work with guides and angels and things like that, but it would be dependent upon your unique situation. I would tune in, I would assess you energetically, just using my third eye and my vision, and I would speak with you about what is going on with you. And then, if needed, I can tap in and channel any information that the spirit side may have that they want to give you.
Do we all have intuition?
Oh, absolutely. We all have intuition. I believe that for sure.
Me too. Me too. And yeah, our level of intuition greatly varies, but I feel it rides on you quieting all the other stuff out and then listening to what is being said to you from within. And where that's coming from, I don't know, but some people say it's an amazing power that we're all born with. Um, I've been getting better at listening to mine. It's like, but it's taking a long time. It's taking a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah, it's about finding that inner quietness, and people underestimate the value of that quietness, of having a peaceful life and shutting out all the outside distractions,
Yep,
and how much that affects your ability to use your intuition and hear your spirit team.
for sure. And you said the word peace, right? I
Yeah.
went through life. Yeah, I'm not very religious, but you go to church, whatever, and you always hear peace be with you, peace be with you, peace be with you. And I would just turn around and say, peace be with you too.
Yeah.
I just said it because you're supposed to say it. Didn't really know what it meant until I realized, dude, you got no peace in your life. And then started taking steps to realize things, change things. But yeah, it is probably everything right there. Peace.
Yes, and I think we we can become addicted to drama, right? We could become addicted to having a new problem to solve, or having,
Oh yeah.
a new obstacle we have to get through. And it's kind of pushed on us by society. We're always needing to fix something or change something or upgrade it or make it better. And spirit, God wants you to know that you are enough as you are. You are the reason, you are your purpose, right? So when we shut out the outside distraction, we can get in touch with our own inner light.
Billion percent. And yes, we can. A lot of us are addicted to the victim mode or mentality where something happens, big or small. What do? You call a friend. Can you believe it? And you just want to hear them say, I know you get it. And we all do it. We all do at one point. Um,
Yes. And that
one,
was sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, wonderful talking with you. A lot of things you validated for me, a lot of insight, so much more to talk about, going deeper into the modalities like sound healing, certainly birth chart you mentioned before, Reiki and all of that.
Yes.
Even just the initial start a conversation with Jamie. How do we do that? How do we find you?
Okay, well, you can call me directly at 228-332-6024, and you can schedule a coaching session with me or a birth chart reading. And my website is www.calmerwaterscoaching.com. And my email is jamie@calmerwaterscoaching.com.
Love the Love the name. It rides in what we just said about peace. You want calmer waters. Jamie, great talking with you. Lots to talk about next time we get together. And
Yeah, thank you so much.
Happy New Year, by the way.
Okay, Happy New Year.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.